This is the recordproduction.com interview, and we're delighted to have Tommy D, and we're in his house even.
Yes.
So you live upstairs, and you're working out?
I live everywhere. I live all over the world, man. No, I live. I've had many sorts of scenarios over my time. Sort of worked out of home, worked in home. Obviously, we all start working from home. That's how it all works. And I always liked working from home. And then when I started making money, I was like, oh, I've got to be a proper record producer. I've got to go and get a proper studio now and all that kind of stuff. And so started doing a bit of that for a while. But I always missed the sort of freedom of sort of wandering out and in. And I think the most important thing, one of the greatest things about making records is to have perspective on things. And one of the best ways of getting perspective is just to walk away from the studio.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know a lot of people obviously have that luxury, but there's nothing quite like having it in your house. And since I've had kids as well, I found that I wanted them to be a part of what I do and part of everything that they do. So they come running in when we're in the middle of doing vocal takes and stuff like that, and it's great. I actually really like it. I think artists like it a lot as well. They like the sort of comfortableness and the sort of non-formality of working from someone's home.
I suppose it's all right if you've got nice artists you're working with.
I can work with nice
artists.
Of course. No, I mean when they're I mean I have worked over the years. I've worked with some very complicated, let's say, for want of a nice word, artists. But they're always when they come into your home, they always are much more respectful of it than. I've always got that thing of like, you know, right, we're going to do vocals now and all that kind of thing. It all just sounds far too serious.
Yeah.
And music making and recording and all that, it should be fun. It should be a fun process. And it should be a process that you kind of is spontaneous and enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when you're actually in someone's sort of front room.
Yeah.
I mean, I made some great records in my bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, some really good records, some of which went on to do very well. So,
right.
you know, it's like, it's not a big deal, really.
How long have you had this room then?
Well, I've lived in this house for 12 years.
Oh, right.
And so I had this room built just after I moved in. But then I moved out and I went and worked in RAK. I had a room at RAK Studios up the road, which is great. But I missed it, so I came and brought everything back here and rejigged it a bit more, and it's great. The room itself is very much like my play area. So obviously I've got my nice guitars over there, and I've got the mixing desk bit here. Everything kind of has a place, you know. And obviously my computer's set up here with a few odd bits and bobs there, and then I've got a kind of what I call a sort of hip-hop retro corner over there with the Wurlitzer and the SP1200 and the MPC and the Juno and the turntables. And then behind that, obviously, is my main source of inspiration, which is everyone else's music.
Lots of vinyl.
Lots of vinyl and lots of ideas and things like that. So I can kind of, you know, move around the room and sort of put on a head, you know, what do I feel like doing? And sometimes I can wander over to this section of the room and just sit there playing records and sampling a few and messing around with the drum machines.
So do you generally tit about in here even when you're not commissioned to do a project or something?
Well, less and less, I have to say, because, you know, kids take up a lot of your time and things like that. But then of an evening, you know, there's no, you know, sometimes nice bottle of wine, you know, and just off you go. And but I used to a lot more. So yeah, definitely. But I find.
So your missus sits and watches the telly, and you're in there drinking wine on your own.
She's probably surfing the internet, buying things now. But no, it's a great.
Wives are for.
That's exactly. And no, but it's really good. It's a great productive area, great productive room.
So generally, when you're doing a project, you'll bring a vocalist here, and
I've had it. Oh, I've had in the back of my cab. I've had Kylie. I've had Katie Tunstall, Corinne Bailey Ray. I've had Janet Jackson. I've had Kanye West. I've had all come and do things in this room. Lily Allen. God, who else? I don't know.
So how did the process work with any of those people? What was
well, it's all different. I come predominantly from a background of production. Well, actually, I come from predominantly a background of DJing.
Yes.
But I'm a multi-instrumentalist as well. I play lots of different instruments. Not particularly well, but enough to get by, and definitely enough to tell someone who is good what I want them to do. Yeah. And it will come. So as a consequence, I come really more from a production element. And I started writing about sort of 10 years ago, and as now the writing's kind of taken over more.
Yeah.
And I enjoy both heads, but I do see them as two very different heads. So if an artist is coming in to write with me, I'll approach it one way, and if an artist is coming in with songs already written and I'm producing it, I'll approach it another. If for example, I was writing, for instance, the other day I did a session with Katie Tunstall. Obviously, I'm working with Katie, and I know that not only are we writing songs, but she's also wanting to hear a little bit where the direction of the song could go. I mean, obviously, gone are the days when you can walk into an A&R guy and go, "I've got a smash, I love you," you know, and off you go with your guitar, and the guy goes, "Great, let's get this person or that person, and you know, an orchestra," and that, you have to give them absolutely everything on a plate now. And in some ways I think that's sad, and in other ways I think it's probably a quicker process, you know, cuts out the middlemen. But it does annoy me that a lot of people in the business, supposedly making these decisions, often can't hear the direction something could go in, and therefore one has to spend, you know, hours and hours doing things with it. But that's another story. So if someone comes in like Katie, wants to hear, wants to do it, we'll start the process by a lot of tea, a lot of biscuits, a lot of catching up, a lot of finding out what's been going on, what she's been up to, how's this person, blah, blah, blah. This may go on for a good 3 or 4 hours before we actually do anything. And then, invariably, off the back of that, I'm listening, I'm thinking about what she's doing, I'm thinking about where she is in her life. I'm listening to her stories and thinking about potential lyrical ideas that are coming through that. I think it's very important that an artist, especially an artist that writes their own material and sings their own material, should be encouraged to write and sing about things that's going on in their life at this moment in time. So it's good to kind of question them a bit about oh well, really, are you sure you want to be doing that, you know, that kind of thing, because then it makes them think about it, and then we sit down and we go, right, well, let's write a song about that. And invariably that will then start the process, which might be that I may well have come up with some ideas beforehand, possibly just beat things, possibly some chords that I might have found on the guitar or the piano that I might have really liked. I might have a melody that I'll record into my laptop or my computer. The greatest thing I find about the modern world with laptops is little eyesight cameras.
All right.
Fantastic. They are modern dictaphones, because a dictaphone like this is great, but you record down an idea, go strum, strum, strum. 3 months later, you come back to the idea, go, that's a great idea. What the hell am I playing? I can't remember what I'm playing. And I'm sitting there listening, trying to work out exactly what I've done. I might have detuned the guitar, but if I just go into QuickTime and I go, you know, new whatever, new video, and then I can record myself rather egotistically. Just, there you go, just recording myself going store it, gets date stamped, I can even name it as a certain person's idea, and bang, off I go. And so I might have some of these ideas all worked out. I do like to approach a session with a few ideas. I find, you know, I know there are people who just go, inspire me, and then they sit there and off they go, but I can't really do that. I like to have an idea, a direction at least where we're going to go. Maybe, you know, 5-6 times out of 10 you won't ever use any of those things. You might look, they might go, no, I don't really like that. What else have you got? And you go, oh shit, okay. Oh, here's a beat. It's all right. And then, oh, I love that. Oh, great, good. Right, let's go on that one then. And then sometimes, you know, you have a very clear direction of what it is you want to do. Sometimes someone comes in with an absolute killer song, but they need another bit, you know, and then we'll spend a bit of time. But it's always inevitably a chorus, you know, that they need. So once we've got the basic thing, I mean, we can. The great thing about this room is, it's all set up very much for other people as well to work in, and it's quite intimate. So someone can be sitting at the whirly jamming while I'm jamming on the guitar, and we've got a beat going, and we can record down things very quickly. And I like to mess around straight away with sounds and put the whirly through some boxes to make it sound weird, or guitar or whatever. I like to get that going quite quickly, because that often inspires where the song could go. Alternatively, I also very much like to not use any equipment at all and just sit with an acoustic guitar and write a song. It really depends on the artist. If I feel that the artist has the ability to carry a song like that, because I think in this day and age, you need to have, you need to be a bloody good singer. You need to be a James Morrison or a Katie Tunstall or a Corinne Bailey to be able to carry a straightforward verse-chorus song. You know, a lot of new artists, they need the whole fashion side of the sound to come
Yeah.
through as well, and they need to be inspired by that. And also an A&R. There's no point in me doing a writing session with Lily Allen, writing 3 great songs on an acoustic guitar and singing them to Jamie Nelson. He's never going to get that. No disrespect to Jamie, but he's not going to get that. He's going to go, great, we'll do something with them. I've found that often, the bigger the artist that you work with, or no, let me say this, the more established an artist is, the less likely they are to want to change.
Yeah.
There's almost like a feeling that inside that it's working, don't mess with it, you know.
So you like to challenge that a bit?
I do like to challenge that a little bit. I mean, another side of me as a producer writer is that I also do arrangements, orchestral arrangements, in conjunction with my wife, who's a very well respected arranger and orchestrator, Rosie Danvers, of course she's now. Together we did a show with Jay-Z. We met Jay-Z through Kanye West, and Jay wanted to do something to celebrate his 10-year anniversary, and he wanted to do something with an orchestra. He just wanted to do something with an 8-piece string section. We managed to talk him into doing it with an entire orchestra.
Right.
And we got Talvin Singh. I got Talvin Singh involved. I got some really class people involved, and we tried to push those boundaries as much as possible. But there you go. See, Jay is somebody who comes from 2 tables and a microphone kind of vibe, and so give him his due. He went about as far as he possibly could at that point. But of course now he's now gone more into the live area and everything, and I kind of think that we were helped to sort of ease him out of that 2 tables and a microphone thing. So often your job as a producer or writer is not just to make something good musically, it's to try and encourage them to see where they can go, push them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Sorry, tea break.
How did you manage to get all these famous people to come down there then? What's the secret of your success?
I don't know what it is. I really don't. I think I'd love it to be, the obvious, which is I'm good at what I do.
Well, presumably you are, yeah.
I think it's possibly to do with the fact that I'm sympathetic a lot to artists. I think I think that musicians get a really bum deal in this world, and I'm a musician as well, and I know that. So I think as part of that, I feel it's a bit like an us and them situation. They come in and I'm like, come on, let's take on the world, I think I'm really enthusiastic about a lot of ideas as well.
Yeah.
People come in, and it's just, even after having done this for 15 odd years, it still feels to me like, every day is so I'm so lucky to be doing this,
You don't get blasé having your own studio.
No, I mean, you just sit in here and you go, you get bored, obviously, but you sit in here and you go, my God, all of this has come from just me sitting there going, oh, that hi-hat part's quite good,
Yeah. And how's it work doing vocals in here then? You just both stick headphones on and put the mic up and away you go?
Yeah, some people, I think most singers enjoy that process of me sitting there bobbling my head around and dancing around the studio, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they're all being very polite.
Well, I suppose if you've been chatting for 3 hours, they've kind of got a measure of you.
But also, you're going. I think it's really important. Sometimes singers are quite. How can I put this politely? Singers can be quite insecure people, and I think to be told, to see someone who's enjoying what they're doing and to have that reaction, it vibes them up more.
Yeah.
And certainly more than anything, I would say, getting a performance out of a singer is the art to production, more than any of it. Get the singer sounding good, feeling good about themselves, feeling good about what they're singing, and you're going to get a good recording, because if the singer's sounding good, everyone will perform to that. I've definitely found that when I was working with bands, when if you tell the singer that the vocals you're doing are just scratch, they don't do it enough. Whereas if you just say, look, if it's good, I'm going to keep it. It's a great scratch. We might not get another chance to record vocals, so just go for it. And invariably, because they go for it, the band go, subconsciously they go up a notch as well.
Yeah.
So no one seems to worry about singing in here. I get a really good sound out. I've got the most beautiful mic in the world, a Valve 47, which is just fantastic. And I've tried many times other things. I have to say that new 440, 4400 is brilliant as well.
Right.
I love that for recording guitar and things like that. It's a really good mic.
Do you have an engineer who works with you at RAC when you're doing?
At RAC, yeah. Any of the boys, they're all good.
Yeah.
There's Richard's brilliant, and Raj is great. I mean, any of those guys.
Mm.
But I've done this for so long now that I kind of can trust my ears a bit. I'm not really too worried about. It's to me, it's more about getting it set up as quickly as possible, getting running as quickly as possible, so that we can capture that moment. Because people come in and they just want to go. Katie, for instance, she's on the acoustic, she's on the whirly, she's on a bass. She's like, give me that, and you're like, I don't, you know, and you're trying to keep up, you know, and that's what you've got to be like.
Yeah.
You've got to keep up with these people.
Yeah.
They're just an explosion of ideas.
Have you always used Logic as your weapon
Started
of
with
choice?
Cubase.
Right.
Then I went on to Notator, then Logic, and it's great. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Logic 8, but there's some things about it that are great, and there's some things about it that are really annoying, but I've kind of forgotten now. The main thing is the look. I just hate the look. I love the sort of silly, childish look of 7 and 6 especially was great. It looked like a sort of Fisher-Price toy. It was brilliant. And this just looks really dull and boring. It doesn't give you anything back. And I can't see it. I'm not a young man. I can't bloody see what the hell's going on. I have to keep squinting.
You need some of these.
Oh, mate, I tell you, it's really annoying.
When you get to our age.
But I spoke to a bunch of guys at Apple. I've got a really good relationship with Apple, and I spoke to a bunch of them recently, and they told me some hush really good things that are coming in the next upgrade. So it's going to be I think the next one's going to sort out a lot of the. They're not going to change the look, but it's going to sort out a lot of the issues that were bugging a lot of people. Hopefully, but they all say that.
They always do, don't they? You can't trust them. So when you were doing Right Said Fred, was the backwards drum fill your idea?
Yes, of course.
I think that's genius.
I did that in my bedroom.
Did you?
Yeah, I did it in my bedroom.
What's making that noise?
It's a snare drum, pitch bend. It was just I at the time I was doing. I mean, literally, it was in my bedroom. I had an Atari 1040 and an S1000 Akai sampler.
Yeah.
And a U220 Roland U220 sound box, and a DX7, and that's what I had. And I was really into pitch bending hi-hats.
Right.
You know, to get the kind of sound, you know, feel of them, and it was feeling really good that you could just sit there going pitch bending them and getting them, and it made it sound really realistic. One day I accidentally went to pitch bend my hi-hat, and I pitch bend the snare by mistake and went, oh, that's kind of cool. And history was in the making.
Brilliant.
So, but yeah, it's a good. I really enjoyed that record. I made it in 3 hours in my bedroom, and it's #1 in 20 odd countries.
Yeah.
So
Didn't they reissue it recently, or they had a
I think they did. Yes, I bumped into Fred recently. He told me that I'm Too Sexy is now the 18th most requested song ever, which I thought was really quite amazing. I mean, I'd love to be in the top 10,
well,
but to just to be in the top 20
that's
alone
great.
is quite amazing.